grind fast enough for there to be any consequences. And the media is covering it like it's any other political story, like it's all horse race.
Well, guys, seeing how it is that I'm probably a week late on this one here, seeing how it is that this little meltdown occurred last week, and here I am once again making a video on Sunday and releasing it on Monday. I think we still need to talk about it because I think people need to understand that in an election year, the propaganda machine is going to be a lot, let's just say a lot heavier. And of course, that right there being the main focus of this channel, exactly how it is that our media loves to manipulate us, breaking through propaganda and false narratives. We have to talk about this because obviously Stephen Colbert had a bit of a meltdown the other night. Let me go ahead and play the full thing.
I know how numb we've become, but it's not normal. No other candidate for the presidency has ever had to pause his campaign to defend himself in multiple courts. And I would like to point out that in all 7 of his cases, no one doubts that he did these things. We're just sitting around patiently waiting to find out if the wheels of justice will grind fast enough for there to be any consequences. And the media is covering it like it's any other political story, like it's all horse race.
This is obviously a far cry from...
I also want to apologize to you because I've said a few things about you over the years that are, in polite company, perhaps are unforgivable.
Almost
unforgivable.
And some nice things. Not too many.
I don't remember saying anything nice. But anyway, I hope you'll accept my apology.
So I wonder what changed. Now, really quick, you would figure that Stephen Colbert and Donald Trump would actually be a great match for ratings. You figure they would be, but obviously Stephen Colbert is ardently against having the man ever on his show. Yeah, it's really funny, too, because right after Trump got elected, for some odd reason, Trump did not want to go on any late-night TV telecasts. It also reminds me of that time that Jimmy Fallon had him on and played with Donald Trump's hair, all that type of stuff there. And, of course, Jimmy Fallon got attacked for doing that. It makes you wonder exactly how far the rabbit hole goes, especially when it comes to the topic of late-night TV. The truth be told is, like I said before, late-night TV is nothing more than good old-fashioned propaganda. Everybody who does late-night TV is definitely on the left, which has got a lot of people wondering what's going to happen to Greg Gutfeld at Fox News, seeing how he's definitely a little bit more on the right, even though I don't really think Greg Gutfeld's really that conservative. I think he's closer to being a libertarian or closer to being moderate and center-right. But the fact of the matter is that late-night TV is nothing more than good old-fashioned propaganda nowadays. Let me also say one more thing, too, before we go any further. He's talking about numbness. He mentioned numbness. Here's the truth about the situation. It's true. People are, in fact, getting numb. They're getting numb to the prosecution. They're getting numb to everything that they're throwing at the former Republican president. They're getting numb about anything and everything that you were exposing them to. They're getting numb to the actual message. This is not a good sign for a struggling party who's got a current president who's got an approval rating below 35% in some polls. Not exactly a good thing for these people. Also, to go on top of this, people are just straight up tired of the left. The left, of course, is trying to change its tactics. They're going to try to change their tactics once again this year before it's all over with to try to get their voter base out to go vote. But the fact of the matter is that people have kind of gotten numb to what the hell is going on. Think about it this way here. I talk about inflation. I talk about the economy from time to time, and I tell you guys the real truth. The truth is that nobody believes this economy is that good, especially when you look at the price of everything, the price of gas, the price of food. When you look at everything that's going on, you quite frankly, you can see that the economy is not as good as what the mainstream media is telling you. That right there is what the hell is happening in this case. Stephen Colbert is letting it out that the Georgia case is falling apart. Now, trust me, they're going to switch to the New York case here soon, especially the Stormy Daniels one. But that one right there is probably going to get rejected on appeal sometime during the summer. The entire goal of the Democratic Party has been to ensure that Donald Trump got convicted with one of these, in one of these cases, so that way they could say he's a felon. So that way they would hope the conservative base, quite frankly, would not come out and vote for him. The problem is that the conservative base, a lot like moderates and even some liberals, they've gotten numb. Meaning that they're not going to care about that, and they're not going to care about the vote. They're just going to go out there and vote for the opposite of what the hell is in office right now. So as you guys can obviously see, their messaging is not working anymore. But we're not done. This right here has obviously got people asking the question, what does Trump have on Stephen Colbert? Well, as many of you know, the former president, he is a guy who, let's just say, rubs shoulders with Hollywood. He pretty much knows everybody in that town. He pretty much knows everybody in late night. Now, I need to go ahead and say this before we go any further, so that way you guys know that this is not a video that's being done out of malice. I'm just simply asking some questions, and of course this video is going to very easily devolve into a Jon Stewart video, because we got to talk about him and his reemergence, and of course the criticism that he recently got, not to mention also the fact that, let's just say, why are they bringing Jon Stewart back at this point in time? Don't worry, we'll get to that more towards the end. The thing about Stephen Colbert, at least as far as I have been concerned, or at least as far as I've always felt, I've never really truly thought that he was funny. David Letterman was actually funny, but then again, at the same time, David Letterman also swings left. Late night comedy swings left anyways. Jay Leno probably swings left. But of course, Jay Leno was very, very good at hitting both sides of the aisle. We kind of missed Jay Leno. Craig Ferguson also swung left, but Craig Ferguson was actually talented and was actually good at his job. Conan O'Brien used to be good at his job. He's kind of devolved since. And of course, now everything has become, let's just say, liberal propaganda. That's pretty much what you're going to get every night when you watch the late night TV. It's just going to be propaganda from now on. That's all these people talk about. It's just straight up politics. And after a while, people, of course, they eventually start to walk away. Of course, there is still the echo chamber that you guys can obviously hear. You guys can obviously hear it in the background cheering. It's the same thing with Bill Maher's audience. They cheer anytime he says a word, even though if you actually look at the man away from the crowd, you find out he's actually pretty daggone weak. Guys, I'm going to play that 30 seconds one more time, okay? Just one more time, so that way you guys can see if there's a bit of a correlation here. And you got to ask yourself a question. Is late night TV suddenly out of step with the mainstream news? Let's go ahead and play it one more time.
I know how numb we've become, but it's not normal. No other candidate for the presidency has ever had to pause his campaign to defend himself in multiple courts. And I would like to point out that in all 7 of his cases, no one doubts that he did these things. We're just sitting around patiently waiting to find out if the wheels of justice will grind fast enough for there to be any consequences. And the media is covering it like it's any other political story, like it's all horse race.
Now, guys, here's why I chose to play it one more time. You see, if you pay very, very close attention, Colbert is demanding that the liberal media cover this story more. That right there, of course, being the story out of Georgia, you know, Fannie Willis, of course, Fannie Pat Willis, the case is completely falling apart. Don't worry, I'll probably leave this video here in the description box for you guys, so that way you guys can actually see it for yourself. This case has completely fallen apart. The lady, Fannie Pat Willis, we call her that because we found out that she was getting her fanny packed by Nathan Wade, the other attorney on the case. And of course, he's married, and you're finding out a lot of money was spent, a lot of money that was not supposed to be spent. And of course, there's a lot of violations going on there. We may cover the entire situation at a later date, but I want to wait until the entire situation either A, falls apart, or B, there is at least some form of, let's just say, I wouldn't call it jurisprudence, but what I would say is I want to at least see if there's any form of finality on this situation, because quite frankly, I'm not completely convinced, even though as bad as her testimony has been, as bad as she has been, I'm not completely convinced that the judge in this case is going to completely toss it. But don't worry, we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the video, especially when we start talking about Jon Stewart and the actual contrast that's going on here. Fact of the matter is that this right is all just good old-fashioned narrative pushing. That right there is what Stephen Colbert is doing. You got to cover the story. You got to cover the story. You got to cover the story. This guy's a criminal prick. Blah, 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 blah. The mainstream media has been covering it for a while. I mean, what the hell else do you demand? I mean, are you on drugs or something like that? Have you not been paying attention to what the hell the media does? I mean, Donald Trump is their favorite person to go after. But still, at the same time, though, I would also be lying to you if I did not tell you that when Donald Trump got elected in 2016, the mainstream media enjoyed the fact that he was president because their ratings were through the roof. Which makes me wonder why it is that they're bringing back Jon Stewart on Comedy Central. Now, guys, Jon Stewart got in trouble recently over his 20-minute monologue, basically going after both Trump and Biden, where he was making fun of both of them. Let's watch a small snippet of that. Of course, there's going to be a header over it because of copyright, the same way I put a header over Colbert's. Let's just kind of watch this really quick.
At a big press conference to dispel the notion that he may have lost a step, and politically speaking, lost 3 to 4 steps. But don't worry, because they don't need the press conference. The Super Bowl was on Sunday, and the president was offered a chance, as per tradition, to do an interview where millions and millions of people could see him competently and clearly lay out his 2024 agenda. Or he could just turn that down and do what this is.
The Biden-Harris campaign joined TikTok over the weekend. The first video was released during the Super Bowl, and it shows President Biden answering questions related to the big game.
Game or halftime show?
Game.
Jason Kelsey or Travis Kelsey?
Mama Kelsey. I understand she makes great chocolate chip cookies.
Fire everyone. Everyone. How do you go on TikTok and end up looking older? So yes, everyone spent the entire weekend talking about whether the Democratic choice for president is mentally up to the challenge of the world's most demanding job. So what was his opponent saying this weekend?
We have to win in November, or we're not going to have Pennsylvania. They'll change the name. They're going to change the name of Pennsylvania.
And of course, shortly after that, the Hollywood Reporter, they would get upset, a lot like what Stephen Colbert is, getting mad with the mainstream media, claiming they're not covering the Trump trial, the Trump case, the situation in Georgia enough. Let's go ahead and roll this.
Jon Stewart is facing massive backlash from Democrats over his comments about Joe Biden. Stewart's return to The Daily Show on Monday night opened with a 20-minute monologue going after Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Stewart especially mocked the current president after his disastrous press conference last week, where Biden struggled to assure Americans that he was still cognitively capable of performing his duties.
The conduct of the response in the Gaza Strip.
Garbanzo.
But the blowback was swift, with everyone from progressives to Elon Musk to the White House weighing in. Christy Jackson, an election commissioner in Tennessee, tweeted, "Wow, so you basically say because Biden is old, he is basically as bad as Trump. Why the F do we never learn in this country? Sorry, but I won't be watching you either." Former MSNBC host Keith Olbermann tweeted, "Well, after 9 years away, there's nothing else to say to the both side is fraud, Jon Stewart."
Wow. You went after Jon Stewart. Wow, you decided you'd put Jon Stewart in your place. Keith Olbermann's a nut. Most of the people who are complaining are absolute nuts. Of course, Elon Musk would also comment on the situation and say, I thank God they brought back fair and balanced. But here's the thing about Elon Musk. Elon Musk is being called right-wing now, even though he's not right-wing. He voted for Obama twice. He voted for Biden. He voted for Hillary Clinton. He's never voted Republican a day in his life. Yes, he was okay with DeSantis, but he hasn't voiced his support for former President Trump. For all you know, he'll go out there and vote for Robert F. Kennedy and give us another Biden administration. You can't really and truly trust that because, of course, the Overton window has shifted so daggone much. So when you hear someone like Elon Musk, who, by the way, I don't really dislike. I actually think Elon's okay. He's definitely made Twitter a much, much better platform for people at this moment in time. But when you've got somebody like, say, Elon Musk saying, of course, you guys didn't see it, but still at the same time, I'm just bringing this up, where he says fair and balanced has come back. This is not fair and balanced, okay? This right here is actually still a good ways away from fair and balanced. I think maybe what Elon is saying is, late night sounds almost the same as what it was, but that should tell you exactly how far we've come or exactly how far left the left has actually gone. That right there is the truth about this situation, that now they are attacking Jon Stewart, who will, in fact, go out there and vote for Biden this next election cycle, regardless. That right there is the truth of the situation. But still, though, I do find it hilarious that they chose to attack Jon Stewart, who, quite frankly, is a stalwart in their actual culture. You see, it's the Jon Stewarts of the world that you need to have on your side of the aisle. But, of course, as you guys know, the left is absolutely insane. I need to go ahead and put one more thing out there about Jon Stewart. They decided that they wanted to use him during the whole PACT Act thing because the Biden administration wanted to say, look, we need the PACT Act so that way we can keep veterans or we can keep the ones that did vote for us in 2020 and 2016 on our side. The truth be told about the PACT Act is this right here, and I'm a veteran, and I'm telling you right now, I'm all for it. But the thing is this right here. While Jon Stewart was out there protesting, saying, ain't that about a bitch, and all types of crap like that right there, and attacking Ted Cruz and Republicans, what he failed to mention is that that bill was being filled up with nothing more than a bunch of pork to go on top of it. If you're ever going to sign a bill that's designed to help veterans out or help anybody out, it needs to be a single issue bill. Democrats didn't want to do that. This is how they jump out in front. And they put somebody out there like Jon Stewart, who just simply looks reasonable, even though he's reasonable on the topic of the 9/11 fund. They put him out there because they know that he's appealing. But at the end of the day, he's only appealing to his side. And that right there is the real truth about Jon Stewart. But we got more. You would probably be thinking to yourself that the woke are in fact turning on the woke. No, that's not what's going on here. What's going on is this right here. Stephen Colbert is definitely the one who's much, much more on the left. He is the one who, quite frankly, has got to go out there and he's got to get, attach a certain portion. He's got to preach to a certain portion of the audience. The exact same way Jimmy Kimmel's got to do it. The exact same way Seth Meyers. The exact same way all these people have got to do it. What Jon Stewart was simply hired to do was try to bring the left back to the center, but obviously it's not going over very well. You see, Jon Stewart's show is on Comedy Central. Comedy Central is supposed to be about comedy. That's the real truth of the situation. It's supposed to be about comedy. And while Jon Stewart is definitely on the left, it doesn't mean that Jon Stewart is not above, oh, I don't know.
Marble rotunda laced with gold. I thought to myself, we have to be very careful not to waste money on first responders with cancer. This is nonsense. You guys know it. I know it. This is theater. We're all down here today. There's no reason to have dragged these people down here. There's no reason to have these conversations. It's you know it, and I know it. So how about we make a deal? This is your opportunity to write a final chapter for these men and women who fought for 18 years. They fought when nobody believed they were sick. They fought when nobody believed that their sickness was caused by 9/11. They fought when nobody thought their health care was worth paying for. They fought every step of the way. The Trump Justice Department is doing an excellent job administrating this program. The claims are going through faster, and the awards are coming through. So now it's Congress's job to fund it properly and let these people live.
Praising the Trump DOJ over handling the 9/11 funds, or trying to get the government involved and trying to get those people paid. That right there being those people who were firefighters and first responders who responded during 9/11, and now they have developed all kinds of diseases and chronic illnesses that, quite frankly, plague them. These people do, in fact, deserve to be paid the exact same way that veterans who fought for this country, especially not just every single war, but those who actually served, deserve to be paid. The thing about Jon Stewart is this right here. Jon Stewart is useful to try to bring some form of reasonability to the actual left itself. The idea behind Jon Stewart is to try to, let's just say, bridge the gap between the far left and those who, quite frankly, are not on the far left. Because there are some libs, some Democrats, who don't exactly agree with the far left. They're kind of trapped in that cult. Of course, they can't get out. Some of these people want to get out. A good example of this would be Alan Dershowitz. He's a civil libertarian. He's very much a guy on the left. But the thing about Alan Dershowitz is that he's not exactly a fan of what the current left is doing. Now, whether he will go out and vote Republican in the next election, we really and truly don't know. Another person is Doug Schoen. He is a former Clinton advisor who I could play some videos of, but just kind of hard to find. I mean, it's almost like old school Democrats like him or Pat Caddell. It's like these same people who would not vote for the party today. It's almost like these people, you just can't find their actual content. You can't find things that they have said. It's very, very odd. It's almost like the internet's trying to scrub it. So it makes you wonder if maybe the liberal media is going after Jon Stewart because they think Jon Stewart is not exactly on their side anymore, when Jon Stewart clearly, in his 20-minute monologue, actually hit former President Trump actually a lot more than Joe Biden. He was just simply complaining about the choices that they have to vote. Of course, he is a comedian. That right there is the truth about Jon Stewart. Now, don't go thinking that Jon Stewart is an ally. But the thing is this right here. People like say Jon Stewart is supposed to be what you call the conscience of that party. That is what he's supposed to be. He's designed to keep these people from going too far. The exact same way that Joe Manchin was designed to keep the Democrats from going too far in the Senate. The same exact way that Kristen Sinema is also designed to, keep Democrats from going too far in the party. I'll leave this video right here too, as well in the comment section or the description box. Razorfist did a phenomenal job of explaining the Kristen Sinema illusion, which is very, very weird because John Fetterman is now the senator that's kind of taken that mantle to try to keep the Democratic Party from going too far. The thing about Jon Stewart is that he served to try to keep the left from going too far in the mainstream. But obviously, as you guys can see, it's obviously not working. So what is the left's attitude right now? Well, it's definitely a lot closer to Stephen Colbert than what it is to Jon Stewart. The reason why I chose to do this video like this is because, like I always do, I want to let the dust kind of settle a little bit so that way I can give you guys a finalized conclusion on what's actually going on. And as you guys can obviously see, Jon Stewart is being used to keep the left in check. And of course, the left is not exactly liking this. And that right there is going to kind of sum up this video here, guys. Please leave a comment in the comment section. I would love to hear what you guys have got to say. I would love to hear what you guys think. Please grade this video here. Please leave a thumbs up for the algorithm. Please leave a comment in the comment section. Please also share this video. Share it with friends and family. Pass it around. Text it to one another. And I'll see you guys later.